Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Build Custom Reports in Minutes. My name is Harris Azmi. I'm your host for today's webinar. This is the exciting part of the survey project, isn't it? You did all the hard work, came up with the questions, designed the survey, launched the survey, invited people to participate, send them reminders, did all kinds of things to get them excited to participate in the survey. They did. You got the data, and now you're ready to run the report. It's the moment of truth, right? And this webinar is really designed for our users who are ready to explore the reports, analyze the data. It will basically not only show you how to build some of the reports we'll talk today, but also show you the paradigm or the design philosophy that we have designed creating reports. And I can show you that no matter whether it's a simple bar graph report or an advanced trend analysis report that you want to do, all of them can be created within seconds to minutes. And that's the beauty of this platform. It's all point and click, and you get very advanced reports in no time. Quick introduction about myself. I've been in the survey industry for over 11 years, worked with thousands of clients across different industries, at different stages of the survey project. So it's my pleasure really to talk to all of you today about the reporting engine of our software. As a company, we have been in this space for almost 5 years now. We're based in Herndon, Virginia, which is 30 miles west of Washington, D.C. We have users across 94 countries, maybe a little bit more now. And we are a serious service software player. I mean, one of the things I want to share with you on the next slide you will see is that when it comes to especially reporting, you will see that we have accolades from PC Magazine, right? Every year they rate all the survey software companies, and when it comes to reporting, for instance, they'll say SoGoSurvey is the best of the bunch. And there's a reason, and hopefully I'll be able to show that to you why we are the best of the bunch. Also, Capterra, which is a Gartner company, they rate survey software companies on 3 different categories: most popular, most user-friendly, and most affordable. And guess what? We are on all 3 of these. And it's extremely rare, according to them, to be on all 3, and we made it. And it's as recent as last month, September of 2017. And when it came to most popular, we're right there on the top, fairly on the top. Definitely, this is a testimony to all the work that we have put in, the feedback that we have been receiving from our users. We continue to build and improve our software really every week as we put in these fixes and enhancements into our software to make them better based on the feedback that we're seeing as we understand the market. We continue to build, and we get rated 5-star no matter where you go. Like over here, you'll see we have over 252 reviews, and we have 5 out of 5 star rating. Likewise, over here, Trustpilot, we have 47 reviews and 5-star, excellent. And these are genuine feedbacks provided by our users like you. And so a quick glance of really about our reports. All our reports are real time, so you don't have to wait. As the responses come in, you can run reports. You can do a simple aggregate report like a bar graph or different charts and graphs type, or you can go to an advanced segmentation reports. If you want to do like employee engagement survey or customer satisfaction or NPS score, guess what? The system will give you engagement score and net promoter score right there within these reports. You can save the reports. You can share reports with a dynamic link. So as more responses come in, those reports that you have shared will automatically get updated. It's not a snapshot that you're sharing, which you can do as well by downloading the report in different formats, PowerPoint, PDF, Word. And again, these downloads are very professional, presentation ready. You can download these reports in PowerPoint and go to a presentation, and without making any edits, do a presentation. What are the reports that we will be talking about today? Bar graph report, yes, it's the favorite. It's simple, but it gives you a lot of data at a quick glance. We'll look at a conditional report. If you want to create um, segments, or you want to set up a filter, you only want to see a small subset of a data, or you want to see how someone from this area or this department or people with these qualities, how they have responded, you can definitely apply conditional conditions to a report and run that data. Advanced frequency report is a very, very interesting report. What it allows you to do is, instead of breaking it down into multiple graphs and charts, you can see a stacked bar graph, and it allows you a lot of editing capabilities. Allows you to merge answer options. It allows you to display tables as well as charts from the same screen. And we'll take a look at that and play with some of the reports. And you can do comparison report also within our software. By comparison, you can compare two different data sets or multiple data sets. So what are the data sets? If you have employees across multiple offices, you want to see how people from each of these offices have responded, you can do that. If you have been running the same um, survey over multiple years, you can then do a side-by-side comparison of how people have responded this year compared to last year, kind of a trend analysis, right? You can do that too. So with that, let's take a look at our first report, bar graph report. So I'm going to go ahead and log into a demo account. It's a demo account of my colleague Ian. We will, before I even show you the reports, let's take a look at the survey, the questions that we have in it, so that we understand when you're running the reports. So we have an employee job satisfaction survey. It has 264 responses, good enough for us to run some very detailed reports. So let's take a preview of what the survey looks like. This is a simple employee engagement or job satisfaction survey, rather. So the first question is overall satisfaction with the company, and then few open-ended questions. And then you have a lot of matrix grid question, which goes on a scale of disagree completely to agree completely. And then you have all these different drivers that you are measuring. So you have a few of those questions. And then you have some demographic questions that you can see, your current position, departments, and and things like that. So this is a survey that we have. We will now be running reports. To run reports, really, what we need to do is, so let's exit from our preview and go to report. Select the report, and now all the reports that are available to you, they're all here. We have 14 out-of-the-box reports. We're only talking about 4, but the other 10, I'm sure, they're fairly simple, straightforward. You probably can run them all by yourself. If not, then at least after looking at today's webinar, you should be able to fairly and quickly run any of the other reports we may not talk today. So the bar graph report that you want to look at falls under the frequency. As you can see, there are multiple reports within frequency tab here. Actually, there are 4 reports under this tab. So bar graph, as we were talking about, is the one we want. It's a step-by-step process, as you can see. It's a 4-step process. First step is select the questions you want in the survey. You can select all the questions by clicking that, or you can uncheck certain questions that you don't want to include in the survey. You can do that. And then you can continue. You can change the order of the question within the report. So, the order of the questions in the survey may not necessarily determine the order in the report. If you want to change that, this is the place. You go next. Now here are a few properties that you can apply to this report before you generate it. If there are decimal places, do you want to display up to 2 places? I'm going to round it up, so say I'm going to change that to 2. I can exclude all that did not answer. Now, you may ask 20 questions. Few of the questions may not be mandatory, so it is possible people may have skipped or may have not answered those certain questions within a survey. The exclude all did not answer, what it is telling you is that if people have not responded to that question, and when I am doing an aggregate or an average of within the report for that particular question, I want to exclude those who have not answered the question. So I get a more accurate picture of the average rather than including everybody who has participated in the survey. And then we will go ahead and generate the report. And here it is, our simple bar graph report. So overall, how satisfied are you working for ABC Incorporation? As you can see, you see the graphs and charts. And likewise, you can continue to go down and see all charts and graphs. Now, for some people, this might be a little too simple or basic. And if that's the case, you simply switch from basic to advanced. I will go ahead and make this back into a horizontal bar graph, make it into a 3D. You can change the color, right? If you want to change one color, you can click and change the color. So it's completely customizable. If anything that you do not like, you can change that. Here it is. And we have bar graph, we have pie chart, we have cylinder chart, we have radar chart. There are 9 charts included here that you can play with. But let's say we like the horizontal bar graph that we have here, and you do not have to apply the same setting from basic to advanced for each and every question. If you like this and this is how you want all the report to be, you simply click on make all charts similar to this, and that's it. Now your entire report is a horizontal bar graph in a 3D format. So we can scroll and take a look at it. Here it is. And now what are the other things that you can do? What you can do is, of course, you can download this report as we were talking about into Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. You can save this report. So next time you want to run this report, you don't have to follow the steps again. You simply go to Save Reports folder right here, and you can then run that report. And you can always print this report. You can apply a filter. We'll get to that when we talk about the next report, conditional. But you can always apply a filter to any report that you create. And of course, you can share this report with anybody you want. This is that dynamic link I was talking about. So put in the title, and what it does is, you'll notice, allows you to share this report by default 30 days, but you can always change that. And so you have the control for how long they can see the report. It's a good practice to let data expire so that once they have the data, they get the access to data. It's not just lying in somebody's inbox to run at any time they want. So these are the common properties, right, that we just saw on top of each and every report. You'll be able to do that. So that was our bar graph report, simple as well as advanced, and you saw the different chart types that we have that you can change. It gives you an aggregate data in a very easy to understand format, and you can download that into a PowerPoint for your presentation. Now let's take a look at our second report, which is similar to bar graph report, but it allows you to set up a condition or conditions before you generate the report. So I'll go again under frequency and go to conditional. And so you have to select the questions on which you want to apply the filter. So let's pick a question here. In which department do you work? Right, that was one filter, and I thought I liked that. In which department do you work? I want to see really people in finance, how they have answered that question. Now, I can have multiple. I can say finance and sales. So now I have 2 conditions now applied. Employees who are in these 2 departments match every condition, any. This is like logical and this is like logical or, right? Any of the conditions met. You can even filter the data based on a time period, response period, right? If you're running the same survey in the beginning of the year or middle of the year and the end of the year, you can then separate the data by applying a filter right here. But in this case, we're saying include all responses. Continue. And now you're familiar with this step, right? Choose the questions you want in the survey. Change the order if you want. I will leave it as it is. Next, continue. Include incomplete responses in the report. This is a very interesting feature that SoGoSurvey provides to you. A lot of times what happens is, let's say you have 200 people who have participated in your survey. And then you will also notice there's a report under distribution, actually, that you can run and see how many people have started taking this survey, but they have not submitted it. And you'll be amazed that a good 10-15% of your participants actually never submit the survey. They start, they finish 2-3 pages of the survey, but for some reason kind of give up and drop off. But they have responded to quite a few questions in those first few pages. Do you want to include them? And you can say yes, or you can even say that I want to include only if they have at least responded the first 10 questions. So let's do that. Generate the report. So here we have now, so you see there are 263 responses now. There's one incomplete that got response. So there was one person actually who had 10 or more questions answered but not submitted. And so these are the conditions. So people from finance and sales, this is how they have responded. Now again, we can go from basic to advanced if you want to and do all the things that we just talked about. So similar to bar graph report, but very powerful in the sense you just applied a filter and you are looking at a particular group of people and how they have responded. You can do that likewise for other departments, other offices. Every question within your survey is a filter in a sense, right? And you can apply that filter and look at that data. So remember I was talking to you that we'll talk about filter manager. So when you create a conditional report, you go step by step. But if you want to apply a condition on any other report that you create within your account, we call that condition as a filter, which is created here under Filter Manager. So you simply go there, click on Create New Filter, and then every question that you have, like you select the survey, right? So this is the one, and then you simply go ahead and pick the question that you have or questions, create a filter, and save it. What it does allow you now is anytime you run any report, you will be able to apply any filter that you have created if you want to. Makes it fairly simple and easy, right? First you do an overall aggregate level report, and then you can apply filters at to different reports and drill down and look at a little bit deeper into a section or segments of data. Now let's go back. So we talked about we'll look at bar graph report, which we did. We'll look at the conditional report, and then we said the third report we want to look at is the advanced frequency. This is one of my favorite reports. Anytime we do internal survey, which we do a lot, this is one of the reports I love to see. It allows us to look at the data very, very quickly, but at the same time gives you a lot of editing features. So again, we'll go step by step, select the questions I want. Just to keep things simple and quick, I'm going to go ahead and uncheck some of the questions off from this report. Go next. Keep the order the same. Go next. Now, again, these are the different properties that you can set on the report. Decimal place is 0. You want to display percentage based on responses to each question or responses to a survey, so like an overall percentage, right? Display reports with data tables. I'm going to choose that over here. Display question number if you want to. Display weighted score if there are weighted score. And then include, again, same thing, incomplete responses if you want to. I will say go ahead and include that and generate the report. So here it is. Now what you're looking at is a stacked bar graph, but as you can see, it's one clean, quick overview of that data. 26% of people who have responded are extremely dissatisfied with ABC, and then 15% are very dissatisfied, and 14% are somewhat dissatisfied. Looks like not the company you want to work for. So it's a dummy data we're looking at, but then that's the data that you're looking at. So quick snapshot. You have likewise, if you look at the matrix grid, right? You look at how people have responded. So you have the table, and you see the N. Like out of 263, only 95 people answered this question. So you also get the N, which is the overall number of participants for that particular question. So as you can see, it does change from question to question. And you can see that what is interesting in all of this is that, for instance, this one itself, if I edit this, again, I can change the graphs and charts that I want. Of course, I can do that. But at the same time, what I'm going to do is go back to the original, and I want to now go ahead and merge all the categories that measures dissatisfaction. So I want to say extremely dissatisfied to very dissatisfied to somewhat dissatisfied. I want to merge these three, and I want to create a right category, and I want to call this at least somewhat dissatisfied, and I will save this. Certainly now you see 55% are at least somewhat dissatisfied. A great feature. Now you can imagine different places where you can apply merge 2-3 different categories to create another category so that you can have a better understanding of the data. Now 15% are neutral, and then likewise I can go ahead and now merge these two categories to say somewhat satisfied. So you will have 25%, whatever this number is, small number. Let's actually merge the two and see what that looks like. So somewhat satisfied, extremely satisfied. I'll say merge this, and I will call it somewhat satisfied, right? At least somewhat satisfied. At least somewhat satisfied. And now you have 30%. There you go. And again, same thing you can apply that we talked about it. Those properties are available to you. You can choose to not show the table on the left-hand side of this, or you can do that. Now, as we scroll through this, let's take a look at a few other things that we see. You see this report, it has multiple stack bar graph reports, and it also shows you overall weighted score. And if you have applied the weights to these questions, you will see the overall weighted score. And this is out of 5, right? So 3.92 overall weighted score, depending on really what you're measuring. Could be a good score or an average score. But if you don't want to see all of them stacked one after the other, you can, change things and say show sub-questions individually if that's what you want to do. So I will go ahead and change that. Now certainly you see all those questions are now displayed as a separate chart. So that's the other thing that you can do. This is really a very useful report, especially if you're measuring employee engagement, if you're measuring customer satisfaction. You can see the overall satisfaction score. You can see the overall engagement score. You can also see the individual engagement score for each driver, depending on really what are the things, different things that you're measuring. This is a perfect score for that. We do not have the time to get into all of the details of how to do that, but if you have applied the weighted score, the good thing is the system will display them and will also display the overall weighted score for the overall participants. So that was our advanced frequency report. We're now ready to go and take a look at our last report, which is the comparison report. So comparison report is right here. This is a fairly powerful report in the sense it allows you to do multiple things. You can do a side-by-side comparison of different data sets. And data set can be anything that you define within the survey. Different departments can be data sets. Different office locations can be data set. Age group can be data sets, right? Anything within your survey that you have in the form of a question can be a data set. You can have 2 up to 10 data sets compared side by side. You can use the same report to do year over year, quarter over quarter comparison. So you can plot the trends. Things, are the scores going up or down? So this is a report that will allow you to do that. So, like I said, again, the philosophy of creating this report is the same. You first select the questions that you want in this, then the order of the questions, and then here's where you create the data sets. Now, by default, it has chosen 2. You can create, like I said, up to 10. Let's go ahead and actually just run 2 data sets and do a side-by-side comparison. I want to create a data set. So first, let's apply the condition, and then we'll choose the data set. So I say, yes, apply a condition. And the condition that I want to apply, let's pick a question here. What is your primary work location? Now, if I want to compare primary work location, now there are 4 offices in this. So I'm going to go ahead and actually change this to 4. And I will go ahead and apply the first one. Primary work location is Baltimore. So I'm going to call this Baltimore. Add a condition. So what is your primary work location? It is Baltimore. Done. Now I go to data set 2. I'll call this the second city name. So let's pick the city from here. What is your, let me get to that question. Primary work location, question number 10. So I will say Houston. So I will make this data set, or rather name it as Houston. Then I'll create the third one. Go to question number 10. That's not the question we want. The question we want is question number 10, primary work location. This is going to be New York City. So I will call this NYC. And next one. And you can apply multiple conditions as we did in the conditional report. We're just applying one condition here because all we need is the city. But if you want certain departments in a city, in that city, you can apply second condition as well, or multiple conditions. Just wanted to highlight that fact. And the fourth and the last city that we want to measure that's in this is San Francisco. I will call this SFO. Head condition. We got it. Now I will go ahead and click continue. So you saw I selected all the 4 cities in which we have offices. I want to go ahead and again, I love to round it up. So normally I change that to 0. Exclude all that did not answer and then hit generate. And it is turning the data, segregating them into 4 different data sets, and then aggregating the responses of employees from those offices, and then showing you 4 charts stacked one above the other that represents each city, and you'll be able to see how people have responded. So over here, what you see, it has given you a little legend here. Yellow represents Baltimore. This red represents Houston. And again, you can change the color. For example, this red and orange is a little too close. I'm going to go ahead and change that to green. So just change that red to green. So Houston will turn green in a moment. NYC is orange, I believe. And San Francisco is this little brownish golden color. Again, you can change that color as well. So here we have 4 different cities and the colors. I'm just waiting for the color to be applied, the one that we just changed. Here it is. It is green now. We ended up applying green on NYC Yeah. So there we go. Now it also displays the chart. And in fact, by default, it displays the chart. Now, those who love numbers and want to, play with those numbers, it's great. But for us who are more visually inclined, I think we want to see graphs. So I will go ahead and say edit this property and change that to, I'm going to go scroll down here. I'll tell you what exactly I'm doing. Here I am, and I'm saying show graphs. You can display the count, display percentage, all that, and say apply. So we'll change that table into a chart. So we're waiting for our tables to turn into charts. And this is the last report, and it's ready now. So we scroll down, and now we see that. So for each of the questions, for each of the answer responses, we now see, I think yellow is Baltimore, so 21% in Baltimore. So if you really ask me, the one in, 36% San Francisco looks like seems to have the most disgruntled employees. And is that common? And then which office has the most satisfied employees? So extremely satisfied. Jesus, this is a very interesting data set. So probably there's something really not right here with this company. So likewise, you can look at each and every question, measured side by side for each city. Now you can replace city with any other metrics that you want to measure. It will show you. And of course, we're looking at a basic. Now, if you want to get a little bit more fancy, you can go advanced. You can show 3D. And you may not, you can do horizontal, you can do cylinder chart if this helps. You can do vertical bar, if this helps. And you can do that again, apply this to all charts and graphs. And when you download it, sometimes, depending on really how many data sets you have, it might get a little cramped. But when you download it, it will be a proper format for you to be able to present that to your team. So fairly complex, I want to say advanced reports, but we could build it within no time. And we just rounded up all the 4 reports that we wanted to talk about. We have a little bit of time, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw in one bonus report. How's that? In the meantime, go ahead and continue to submit your questions. I see a few questions that have come in, but continue to go ahead and submit your questions, and we'll take it right after this, which is another report that we can see. One report for all the reports that we have that people continue to ask is individual report. I want to see how each individual has responded. And guess what? It doesn't get easier than this. It's right here, all the individual report. Click on that, select the questions, and you can go through the steps or hit generate now, and you will be able to see how each people have responded, right? Somewhat, we're looking at 1 of 264. You can do that right here. It also tells you the date and time when they responded, the IP address or the email address of the participant. If it's not an anonymous survey, especially in an employee survey, I'm assuming the survey is anonymous, it will not display, but it will display some random numbers here. IP address also will not be tracked if it's an anonymous survey, but otherwise it will track all kinds of metadata. So along with each and every report, you can track metadata like how long the person took to participate in the survey, the geolocation of the participant, date and time, of course, what browser the person used, what computer the person used to participate in the survey. You can do all of those reports as well at an aggregate level or at an individual level. So those are all the reports. We have, besides this, I want to say 9 other reports. You can explore each and every one of them. If you need help, sign up for some of our advanced webinars where we go into more details, these reports that we just talked about, or go into details of other reports. But play with it, and I'm sure you will be surprised at how much data you can glean out of these reports, and hopefully that will make your entire effort of conducting surveys worthwhile.